Join me in welcoming Kimberly Boone. Hey, Kimberly, how you doing today?
Hello, Steve. I'm doing great. What about you?
Oh, having a good day. I mean, it's not Monday, and so it's all good, right?
Yeah. Yes, but I tried to be really low key and calm, but I'm actually super excited today.
I know, right? So
Yes.
today, your book, I am unique, not weird.
Yes.
Yay!
Can you see
Today,
it?
yeah, today is our official launch day, and we want to talk all about the book. But
Yeah.
first, just tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm a child of God who loves to see people living their best lives or their victorious lives. And I believe that there's only one best life. That's the life that God created you to live. And so I do that. I like to help people do that by life coaching, mental health counseling, and also soul work or ministry work. I love baking. I find that to be very therapeutic. I learned that from my mom. And I recently found out, Steve, that I love writing children's books. I've written three, but this is my first children's book. And this was just amazing. This whole process was just amazing. So, and a whole new audience that makes it even better.
That's awesome. So, talk to us about, go way back to the beginning. Where did I am unique, not weird? Where did the concept of that come from?
Yeah, so the book was actually, and I talked to her this morning, it was inspired by my 5-year-old niece, whose name is Justice. And that is actually the main character in the book. And so she's 5 years old. And so I felt I felt a responsibility as someone in the village of taking care of her. The responsibility of speaking life into her and making sure she knew exactly who she was, because knowing that she was going to have to defend, or not necessarily defend, but battle off, bullying and certain things. She'd need to know who she was. And so I've always wanted Justice to know from the day she was born. I remember holding her, telling her how special she was. So that's kind of how it was birthed. Um, Way back then, I didn't touch it for a while. And then about a couple years ago, when Justice was probably about 3, she came to visit me. And we were at the park, and she tried to engage with the little girl, and that little girl was not having it. And Justice kind of went away upset, and she said she just doesn't like me. And so her mom and I think we took the wrong approach, Steve, and we were saying, oh, she just didn't hear you, right? She didn't hear you, baby. It's not that she didn't like you. And then when I got home, I realized we took the wrong approach there, because everyone's not always going to like you, but you have to know. You have to know how special you are. You have to know that God made you that way. And you have to be okay with that. And not only okay, but you have to celebrate that, right? And so, even that day, so Justice is born. That was about when she was about 2 or 3. And then I finally wrote the book when she was 5. So, there you go.
I love it. So, unique and weird. Let's talk about those two words. What is the difference between being unique and just being a weirdo?
Absolutely. Well, I think unique is one of a kind. It's one of a kind. It is set apart. It is different. And as a woman of faith that knows that God says that He created a masterpiece when He created you, that means that you're unique, right? A masterpiece is an outstanding work of handiwork, of workmanship. And so each one of us has to be unique, and weird just has a negative connotation, right? It makes you feel like you're not necessarily set apart, but you're outcasted, right? You don't fit in, you don't belong, right? And so it's so important that our children, Justice and every other children around the globe, every other child around the globe, knows that I'm unique. There's something special about me, right? So that's my take on it.
Oh, I love that. So, give us a little bit of insight. I mean, obviously, it's your niece, but give us a
Yeah.
little bit of insight into Justice and who she is and what she's going through that starts the concept of this book for her.
Absolutely. Well, her namesake Justice in this book, Justice is she's a little girl who knows that she's different, Steve. She knows that she is unique. And the reason why she knows that she is unique is because her parents have told her that she's a masterpiece. And so when she is challenged in her identity, challenged as it relates to who she is and bullied, she can come from that place of, no, I know there's something special about me. So every day in school, every day after school, she's challenged, whether she's told she's too skinny, or she talks too much, or she thinks she's a know-it-all, or she's a tattletale, right? And so by the end of the story, you understand that this is a little girl who, although she's challenged in who she is embracing who she is. And I think she teaches every child that embracing who you are is the most exciting adventure if you just stand with who you are. And she remembers throughout the story, Steve, no, my mom said this. No, I remember my dad said I was strong. Even though this little girl on the playground is calling me weak and puny and skinny, my dad said I was strong. So I can do this, right? And so we kind of follow her journey throughout her day at school as she's challenged every day. And I think every child can relate to this. I know I could when I was smaller. I spoke to an adult earlier today and she goes, where was your book when I was growing up? And I was like, I needed one too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you were describing Justice, I was like, she has older brothers, doesn't she?
No, but she has plenty of cousins. And it's funny that you bring that up because I had some of my colleagues read the book, and one woman wrote back to me and she says, I was thinking this was a book for girls and boys, and I still feel that way. But one mom wrote me, she says, I need you to write another book with a little boy on the front, because boys have their own identity issues and challenges throughout the day. So I am going to work on a story with a little boy. Now, whether or not he will be Justice's brother in the storyline, I don't know. But a boy is coming really soon, Steve.
I love that. The little boy, though,
Yeah.
let's be honest, little boys are kind of weird. The title of that one might be I'm weird, but that's okay.
But that's okay. I'm still unique, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So let's go a little deeper for just a minute. I
Yeah.
mean, both of us are ministers and we have a real heart for God and stuff like that. Let's talk about some of the things that can and should come out of it for our children.
Yeah. Um, you know, for me, the main message that I want every child to get when they read this book, Steve, is that, or when their moms or dads or caregivers or guardians read the book to them, is that not only you're unique, but you are unique because God made you unique. And he says you're unique. And at the end of the day, his word is the truth, right? His word is the standard, right? So it doesn't matter what someone else says on the playground. What does God say about me? And when you have that foundation, right? That goes a long ways throughout even adulthood, right? Because when we're challenged in our self concept and our self esteem and our identity, that shows up later. And you're counseling with me, right? At age 45 and 55 and 65, right? And so that's why it was so important for me to get the message of, what does God say about me? Because that's the truth. That's the truth.
Oh, I love that. I love the earlier we can get to them and help them be able to know that they're special
Mm,
in a really good sort of a way versus having them be, like you said, 45 or 55 or 60 years old and never having heard that message.
for sure. For sure. When our self concept informs our self esteem, and self concept is just how you see yourself, right? And so if I have a positive self-concept, I'm going to have a healthy self-esteem. And so when those two things are challenged, then our mental health is affected, right? We walk into things like identity, or excuse me, um, anxiety and depression and people pleasing and things like that, and comparing ourselves, right? But if we can speak life into that child, the truth of who they are, God says that you're a masterpiece. He says that you're a special treasure, that you are valuable. God loves you so much that he has taken time to number every hair on your head, Steve, right? And so informing them of that helps them to see themselves the way our Heavenly Father sees them. And that's the right perception.
Oh, I love that so much. I love how TD Jakes said, it's my favorite TD Jakes quote, and he's got a couple of them. But,
Hmm.
he said, "You were so important
Hmm.
that God literally moved all of the universe for you to come into existence, that
So good.
possibly the two people who were, you know, the two genetic contributors for you, regardless of what names you do or
Right,
don't know them by, that it took
right,
them in that exact second to create you. That's how important you were." And I was like, wow, that just,
right. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love, there's a scripture that says, I think it's Psalms 139:14, that says that we are fearfully, David is praising God for making him. And he says that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And I love that word fearfully, because if you look that up, Steve, it means awe-inspiringly. That means that God made you, and that before he when he thought about you, and then he created you, and in that moment where you were created that you were just referring to, God stood back in awe, right? Of you. You were that special that the God of the universe stood back in awe of you and says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. So it's amazing, and our babies should know that as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, as authors, we sometimes, I hope everybody gets this feeling. That's why I want everybody to be an author. We get the
Yes.
opportunity to be able to create this thing, and then it gets mirrored back to us. It comes to us in print and stuff. And we can read through it and be like, wow, that was really good. I was reading one of my books the other day, and it made me laugh. And I was like, is it something really good or something really bad that I'm laughing at my own jokes?
No, that means it was really good.
And everybody deserves to get that sense of, themselves. And then, like you said, really reflect that awe back to their existence here on this earth.
For sure, for sure. I
Yeah.
had a little bit of that going on last night, Steve. I read the book again. I don't know how many times I've read it, but I read the book again, and I was in awe too of just even the small details. Like at one point in Justice's room here, there is a little a little wall art right there, and it says it has Ephesians 2:10 on it, that says you are God's masterpiece, right? And that wasn't in the original story or plan, but somewhere in the process that got there. And so I myself was just in awe last night at just the little details, and then how the story just all comes together, and how God gets some major glory in this. Like, what you say about me is true. You know what I mean? So as an author, it's pretty good to see this all collected together in this book.
Yeah, that's so cool. And the nice part about it for
Yeah.
everybody listening, everybody that catches it on the replay, all of those kind of people, is they can actually get the ebook for free today.
Yes,
Um,
they can.
yeah, and
They
I just
can.
I just put the link in the note, there as a comment in case you didn't see it in the description up above.
Mhm.
It's down below now too,
Yeah.
so that you can get a free copy about it.
You know,
Um,
the real Justice's birthday is this week. So this book is being released. the week of Real Justice's birthday. And so in honor of that, not only does Justice get gifts, but everybody's getting a gift. So that free ebook for the next, is it 3 days? I think 3 days will
In the
be out.
next 3 days. Get it
Everybody's
sooner as
benefiting.
opposed to later, though. Don't wait.
That's right.
All right,
And
I
happy
love
birthday,
that.
Justice.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Justice. How cool. What a fun thing. Does
Yeah.
the girl on the cover, does it look a lot like her?
You know, it does. It does, but an amazing story about that. I had a few of my colleagues read the book, and Steve, there was a little girl who she asked her mommy to FaceTime me, and she FaceTimed me. And I had never, conversed with the little girl, but her mommy took the book back to her, and she said, "Miss Kim, the girl on the cover looks like me." Excuse me. And that really touched my heart because she was a little brown girl, and I think representation is so important. And even throughout the book, it was really important for me to make sure even children with disabilities were included. And so there's someone with a wheelchair in here because every single person needs to know that they are unique, no matter how they show up in the world, right? And so for this little chocolate girl, so beautiful. For that to be her first point just really touched my heart, and that that confirmed that we did something right with this book. So
I totally love that.
yeah.
Well, I encourage everybody, you need to get I Am Unique, Not Weird. Get it right now. Don't wait. It may be free here for a couple of days, but you need to get it right now today. The
That's
link
right.
is in the description or down in the comments now. Either way.
Yeah.
Kimberly, before I let you go, just give us one last word of encouragement about us being unique, not weird.
For sure. As I said earlier, each of us is unique. And parents, I got a little treat for you in the back of the book. There's a little chart here that talks about, I don't know if you can see it, but it's ways to talk to and about our children. So instead of, it reframes things. So instead of using the word weird, baby, you're so weird, we can say unique or one of a kind instead of calling them a know-it-all. Maybe let them know they're informed, right? They're so smart, they're wise, right? And so there's a little treat in the back of the book for parents to help us along this journey, um, in an effort to help communicate to our babies how amazing that they are. Each one of us are lovable and capable, and God creates and names us and empowers us. And so not only are our children unique, but the adults are too. And I think sometimes we forget that. And because we forget that, we don't know how to communicate that to our children. So I just want every adult to know that they are lovable and valuable and capable as well. They are an Ephesians 2:10 masterpiece.
Kimberly, thanks so much for spending some time with us here on the
Absolutely.
show today.
Thank you for having me, Steve. This was awesome.